Welcome to Pod Me If You Can. I'm David Farrell. Today's film is Totally Blonde, which stars Michael Bublé, and he sings 7 tracks through the course of the film. It also stars Krista Alley, who you might know from Liar Liar. She's the girl in the elevator with Jim Carrey. Or you might know her from Days of Our Lives. So the film Totally Blonde asks the question, is it true blondes have more fun? And then answers the question on the front cover, like totally. Meg, who's our protagonist, is played by Krista Alley. She asks 40 seconds into the film whether or not she should go blonde. Then her boyfriend arrives and breaks up with her at dinner, saying he's been sleeping with her best friend. This is where the similarities between Legally Blonde and Totally Blonde end. She's blonde, and she gets broken up with in the opening scenes. The boyfriend never comes back, and the best friend is never implicated in this cheating, so this can all be immediately forgotten. Enter lounge singer love interest Van, played by Michael Bublé, who likes her right away, presumably because she's blonde. He doesn't know much else about her. On their first date, he comes to pick her up, and he sees this very well displayed wall of blame, which is a series of Polaroid photos of men. There's about 50 men, as Michael Bublé points out, and she has dated and blamed each one for the breakup. She takes a Polaroid of Michael Bublé as well, which is kind of like, anticipating that it's not going to work between them, which I thought was really nice. Like getting a prenup before you get married. He's really rich and he has a plane, and he flies her out somewhere for a second date, but it's never really mentioned where they are in the world or anything like that. Just that, an undisclosed location and that he's rich. The whole story seems to center around love. She tells Van that she's always been jealous of Barbie because Ken was made for her, which is loosely what she's looking for, the man who's made for her soulmate. They go on this tandem bike ride, and Van is wearing a bucket hat that does not suit him at all and does not belong to a rich person. They meet Brad, who creates this love triangle with them. He's played by Brody Hutzler, who's from Days of Our Lives. He plays the worst kind of surfer dude. He identifies her as Meg from school, and she says, "Oh my god, it's Brad from school. I want to marry him." People just say what they think in this film. He's very immature, and he does pranks and acts like a child, and he's kind of like a physical embodiment of the Ken to her Barbie, I suppose. Van starts dating through his sadness, dating Liv, who's Meg's best friend, played by Maeve Quinlan from The Bold and the Beautiful. Sensing a bit of a trend here with these soap opera actors. She looks about 10 years older than him, and they fall for each other inexplicably, get engaged, and make this into a love rectangle. Meg has this strange dream sequence through the film, and the men she's sleeping with, the DVD of course, has medium-level sex scenes, which is probably why some people pick it up. The sex scene between Meg, basically the two men interchange positions, and it becomes Van, and then it becomes Brad, and then it becomes Van, and then it becomes Brad. And swapping them like this, then she looks to camera in a Woody Allen-esque moment, and she asks the viewers to just let her have sex with who she wants to, like it's our fault or choice. So it's a very odd sequence where they break the fourth wall. Apparently this sequence was cut out of some DVD versions of the film, but it's apparently there when you watch it on cable. And it was on my version of the film, so it must be on some DVD versions that it's missing. I'd like to talk about her job for a second, which is something about working at a high-profile ad agency, though it's never really clear what she does, and she doesn't look qualified in any of the 2 or 3 scenes when she's working. Most of the time she seems to be blowing off work to be with Brad or Van. But she drives a BMW, and her work is something to do with weddings at the moment. Her boss is actually played by Dr. Evil's Frau, Mindy Sterling, but they are preparing for this Japanese pitch that she has to do by the end of the film. And the pitch, it's amazingly bad. She has a nervous breakdown during the pitch, And I don't know if I could understand what she was selling. There are these two mannequins, and they have, look, it's not even worth getting into. It makes no sense. And after her amazingly bad, insane pitch, she gets a call saying they loved it and they're going to fly us to Japan. And so there's all this ridiculous stuff in this film. One of my favorite scenes was when she's going to try and find Brad, and he's at a hotel, and she demands these sleazy hotel reception desk guys give her the key after they stare at her chest. And she shakes one of them and says, "Give me the room number, give me the room number." And he says 224, which is great. And then 30 seconds later, she uses the key card he gave her to enter room 214, which I thought was just fantastic. Just a blatant continuity error. Speaking 224, entering 214. I don't know why. Also, she has this car accident in the film, and they talk about how, insane it was, and she just has the tiniest little band-aid on her forehead. Tiny cut. So it wasn't really serious at all. The doctors are insane. Everyone's kind of a caricature in this film. They go for the ridiculously happy ending where, because it's a love rectangle and Michael Bublé's character Van is engaged to Liv, Meg's best friend, at the beginning of the film there's this throwaway line where Liv says, "I wish Trevor would call me back." Michael Bublé, being the great rich guy that he is, goes to Greece. We don't see this, it's all off camera. He goes to Greece, finds Trevor, who's a better fit for Liv, convinces him that if he doesn't come back from Greece right now, someone else is going to marry Liv. The someone else, of course, is Van. So there's a sequence where he goes up to the altar, and we watch him about to marry Liv, and then it cuts to another scene. So we don't know whether or not he got married to her. And so presumably Van's plan was to get Trevor, this guy who's in Greece, tell him to come back, then still go through with the wedding, hoping that Trevor would get to the altar and then say, "No, she should be with me." Like, off screen, there was an insane sequence of events going on. It was amazing. And also, the fact that Liv can get to the altar after falling in love with Michael Bublé's character, and then Trevor can just get in there and marry her instead, it makes it seem like men in this film are interchangeable, and it's a strange plot that way. She didn't care who she was marrying, I guess. This, of course, frees up Van to be with Meg, which is the super happy ending. It's all very ridiculous. There are boom microphones in shot. There are camera reflections. There is a montage that takes place in the same section of a park. So, just sort of a montage, same section of a park, same clothes, like time is passing, like they're falling in love. There is particularly convenient exposition as well in this film. It has one moment where they're talking about Brad, and then he happens to be on the cover of a magazine that one of the characters is holding, so they can talk about how successful Brad is as well. The thing is, they're all 2D characters, from the central four to these posh waiters and sleazy hotel receptionists. The film feels like a softcore porno at times, with satin sheets, busty boobs, and very bad acting. In one of the film's odder moments, Michael Bublé sends a stripogram of a Canadian Mountie, which makes no sense, to Krista Ali's character, Meg. And then when she calls him about it, he does an Indian accent on the phone, then a Chinese accent. And they're kind of like racist, and it feels like prank call in nature, but he's putting on these terrible racist voices that I didn't think I could really forgive him for as a character in this film. Brad's doing a terrible impression of like Keanu Reeves through the whole thing too, but like Bill and Ted Keanu Reeves. He's all like, "Whoa, no way," consistently bad. There's a cameo from the guy from Whose Line Is It Anyway, Colin Mockery. It's the kind of film that is very much so bad that it's good. I mean, I laughed many times, but unfortunately I'm sure that these weren't the moments that the filmmakers intended us to laugh at. It feels like the kind of film where you drink every time something doesn't make sense or they say something stupid. For Michael Bublé fans, you might enjoy it. He sings 7 songs, as I mentioned, and the soundtrack is available to buy of his songs from this film. His singing is referred to as that type of music, though, by the characters. Like, hey, you like that type of music, don't you? The whole thing just like stinks of a Michael Bublé acting project, and as you know, Michael Bublé has not got a career as an actor now, so it's terrible, but it's yet so enjoyable if you watch it in an ironic way or like a so bad it's good kind of way. I mean, I scratched the surface of this film, but awful, but awfully great.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our podcast at www.podmeifyoucan.com.